Hello and welcome to the Super Rugby Aotearoa Round 1 preview. Hi, I'm Paul, the guy behind Driving Maul and also the founder of New Zealand Sports Radio. And yes, this is a special show for you to get you up to speed and ready for the weekends of rugby. Joining me to go through all of the games and preview it all, I've got Cornflake. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me yet again, making a resurgent return back onto the channel, eh?
Absolutely. Coming back off the long run up, 2 feet tackle straight in there. So we kick off. We have 2 games this weekend, and I guess the big news of it all isn't so much the rugby, it's the crowds. I mean, was it 16,000 or so tickets sold for the Highlanders for tomorrow night, and something like 36,000 sold for the Blues on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon. Fantastic crowds. Well done, guys. Well done for them to get all those tickets. But I mean, it just shows you the appetite that's been built up by no sport for the last 3 months, doesn't it, Steve?
Oh, well, yeah. You knew it was going to happen as soon as it went to the fact that the fans could go back to the games. You knew that they're all going to be flying on in there. The tickets would go like wildfire. I read a thing earlier. I don't know how true it is, saying that it's up to nearly 20,000 for Forsyth Bar now. So that's just madness and crazy. It's just flying out. But yeah, expected. You just kind of hope that, 2 weeks down the track, 3 weeks down the track, as things start to settle back to normalcy, as they call it, we'll still get good crowds to these games, hopefully. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's great to see anyway. Great for the teams, great for the players, great for the atmosphere.
Absolutely. Look, I hope that the Highlanders and the Blues have got some good match day experience, and that both Forsyth Bar and Ian Park really have pulled out all the stops for this. Because look, let's give all these people a fantastic experience and get them coming back no matter what happens on the pitch, really. But let's be honest, we're here to talk about what's going to happen on the pitch. First up, Highlanders versus the Chiefs. Let's quickly run through that Highlanders team. Aidan Johnson, Ash Dixon, Sate Tokalahe on the front row, Parry Parkinson, Josh Dixon in the engine room, Shannon Frizzell, Dylan Hunt, Marino Makelei Tu'u is in the number 8. You've got Aaron Smith and Josh Wani leading it around the park. Tomkinson and Thompson are in the centres, and the back 3 of Nariki, Sam Gilbert and Mitch Hunt in 15. Quickly through that bench, Liam Coltman, Daniel Leonard-Brown, Jeff Thwaites, Manakai Selby Rickett, Cherokee Ben Nicholas, Kane Hamilton, Tarangi Walden, and Villamoni Koroi. I guess for me, the thing that stands out there is the debutants, and seeing Sam Gilbert in there. Really, he's come from nowhere, hasn't he?
Yep, he's absolutely nowhere. I mean, it's the Highlanders needed something, don't they? They need someone that they've had problem areas in those areas from the start of the normal regular part of the season. So, I mean, this is how you develop players, and this is how you get new stars. This is how new players enter. They've got to debut sometime, and I mean, yeah, fair play to them. I mean, this is an area that the Highlanders need to find some players, especially out in the wings, and they need to stop trying to makeshift players to be another sort of position. So I hope, for their sake, putting in an out-and-out winger, doing his job, hopefully they get something out of this guy, and he may still, find himself there in the future. But, yep, I expect plenty more to come from it as well. This is how it's bred. This is how it's born. So hopefully he can step up to the challenge for the Highlanders' sake, at least.
Yeah, and he brings something different. He's a big boy. You've got Mitch Hunt, who's obviously the playmaker. On the other wing, you've got Nariki, who's that speedster, elusive kind of guy, and then Sam Gilbert is the more powerful, larger body. So yeah, mixing it up, giving something different, which is why he's got the selections. So yeah, good luck to him on his debut. What other talking points do you see from this selection?
Well, I mean, the big points for me from this game, I think the big matchup where this game's going to be ultimately won or lost is in the back row. That's the big part for me. If the Highlanders can match it there, they're in for a chance, because the combination of Jacobson and Boshier, those two guys can pretty much single-handedly control how a game is played, the pace it's played at, and the way the game goes. They are outstanding players. They've come along so much in the last 12 months or so. And if they aren't controlled by the Highlanders or hidden, I guess, and kind of put in their place by the Highlanders, it could be a very, very, very long night without the ball, a lot of defence. And to me, that needs a big standing up from the main man. I think needs to really step up is Shannon Frizzell. But Dylan Hunt as well has got to be a guy that's got to really pick it up. Those guys need to shut down that back row of the Chiefs. I think they could really get that. Sorry. Carry on.
Sorry, no, I'm on 4G on my phone, so it's cutting out a little bit, and I thought you'd stopped, which is why I kind of I was going to step in there. But yeah, with Lanchis out for the season, they really need those other guys to step up. Let's just run through quickly the Gallagher Chiefs side. Aidan Ross, Samasoni, Tulakayo, Nipo Lualala in that front row, Mitchell Brown, and Tupu Va'ai, the debutant from Taranaki, there in the engine room. Luke Jacobson, Lachlan Bashir, who you've already mentioned, with Peter Guz Sokowalu, Brad Webber, and Caleb Trask are going to be running things. Antoinette Brown and Quinta Pye in the centres, and then a back three of Sean Wainui, Sean Stevenson, and Damien McKenzie. On the bench, Bradley Slater, Ryan Coxon, Ross Glenderhays, Naoto Okoye, Dylan Nell, Triple T, Aaron Cruden, and Etene Nana Satoro. And yes, you're chuckling there at all my pronunciations. I'm sorry, guys, but you've got that. I guess for me, the two things here is those two really inexperienced players playing at 5 and 10. Tupu Va'ai, a lot of us don't know that much about him, but apparently a tall, rangy lock. So we're going to see how he goes, and then also Caleb Trask in at 10 there. Look, we've talked through these games several times on several different shows, haven't we? Let's be honest. And yeah, you think that's a tactical masterstroke by Gatland?
Yeah, I'm just surprised that the Triple T thing has still survived all this time, and it's still an active sort of thing. But yeah, I do, mainly because of the bench. Now I look at that bench and you see that there's one Mr. Aaron Cruden sitting there in number 22. So for me, this is pretty much Gatland looking at this and saying, right, Caleb, you go out there, you try and do the best you can. You know, you can't expect too much from the guy, but I'll go out there, play your game. If you make a mistake, no problem, move on. Don't hammer the guy too much. I think they'll give him 40, 45 minutes at most, and then on will come Cruden, and he'll complete the game. He'll finish the game. He's got that ability, the experience, all that sort of stuff from being an All Black. You know, all the stuff he's achieved throughout his whole career. He's a guy who doesn't get flustered. And for me, if someone like Trask was in there at the end of the game, coming off the bench, he's going to be destroyed if he makes a big error that costs him the game or misses the game-winning kick, something like that makes or breaks a player. Probably don't put him under that pressure right now. You've got Cruden there. Let him take that pressure. Let him deal with that problem at the end of the game. And I think it's just smart. I think it's a good thing to do with an experienced player. Build up the confidence of the youngster instead. Let him play that first part of the match and then bring on your good heads, your experienced heads to finish the job off. So, yeah, I think it's smart. And what else do you expect from having a clever, experienced coach like that at the helm of the Chiefs?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, coming into this, I had the Chiefs well up, but then you go and look at the unavailable players: Atu Molly, Angus Ta'avo, Langland, McFonnell, Michael Allardyce, Michael Karpik, Nathan Harris, Sam Kane, Sam Nicol. Yeah, a bunch of starters there who are missing. This team is not going to be the team that we saw at the beginning of the season. The question is, can they actually get those? Can they get performances up with all those changes? It's going to be interesting to see it again. Damon McKenzie back as well. Aaron on the in the live chat mentions that Cruden came off the bench against the Blues and destroyed them. So yes, exactly. This is what we. It's kind of something we Gatland give the young guy some experience, give him the opportunity, and then get the old head to come off and finish things off. off the bench and finish things off. Look, prior to seeing the selections, I went Chiefs by 7. I think it could be a bit closer than that now. Which way of which you've got your Highlanders hoodie on? Is this a heart or a mind pick that you're going to be choosing here?
Oh, definitely. Oh, there's no doubt about it. It's a heart and mind pick. You got to go both ways with it. No, I agree with you. I've said the same things leading up to this match as well. Before it was heavily a Chiefs' favourite matchup going into this one, but through no action of the Highlanders, they've just done what the Highlanders do, just potter away. They've done nothing terrible. No one's really got broken extra that they already had. And the Chiefs have kind of, not through the fault of their own, but just through injuries. No Sam Kane, Atu Moli, they're the big ones from this week that have gone. So those guys have rather weakened their team, I think, especially in the tight 5, which, like I said at the start, if the Highlanders can especially get that back row and they get the whole pack to match up with that Chiefs, which I think they're really capable of, this is a chance that they could go man for man, put it into the backs and see what can happen. And you got matchups all over the park in this as well. Don't forget you got Cruden versus Weber. Not Cruden, sorry. You got Aaron Smith versus Brad Weber in the 9s. That's going to be a really good matchup to see as well. So, goodness me, what else can we expect from this? It's going to be a bit of a cracker of a matchup. I'm going the boys on the chest, Highlanders by 2. That's just my pick. Close one.
Close one. Yeah, it should be a cracker. Really looking forward to this tomorrow evening at 7:05 kickoff we have for this one. Now, a couple of disagreements as to kind of why it's happened. Has it happened for the UK TV, or has it happened because they don't have to fly in and fly out on the day? So that was and so that was part of it. But yes, it was probably down to the European TV times. And remember, 7:05 was the original scheduling time prior to the whole lockdown.
So one was a reason, the other was an excuse.
There's, or the other was like, this is why we can move it rather than actually why we've moved it. Yeah, this allows us to move it. Moving on then to the other reason that the excuse they had was it's allowed people to play their club games, go home, have a shower, and get across town to get to the match. That was the excuse. The reason they could do it was because of the flights in and out. That's right. Okay, moving on to Sunday then, we have the Blues versus the Hurricanes. And the Blues, apparently selection headaches, they say, and especially in the back 3. But let's run through them. The Blues lineup: Alex Hodgman, James Parsons, Offa Tuangafasi, Goodhue in the end room, Tom Robinson, Blake Gibson, and Hoskins Sotutu are your Lucies. Sam Knocke and Terry Black will be leading the team around. TJ Fiani and Rico Iwani in the centres, with Caleb Clark, Mark Talia, and Bowden Barrett as your back 3. Off the bench, Kirk Eklund, Lindemund, Marcel Retner, Gerard Cowley Tuoti, Dalton Papier-Leahy, Finlay Christie, Harry Plummer, and Matt Duffy. People not considered due to injuries: Carl Tuangafasi, Jack Hyton, Jared Page, Stephen Perifetta, as well as season-ending injuries to Ray Nuai, James Tucker, and Chelani Talia. A big name I've not mentioned there, Dan Carter, amongst all of that. But yeah, he's just not conditioned yet, ready for this. So interesting that they've actually got Bowden Barrett and then also Harry Plummer on the bench. How many playmakers do they need in this team?
Well, it's the Blues, isn't it? So, I mean, it's as many as they could get to probably fill the whole bench with them. They could and just, well, you're not working, off you go. Let's bring on the next one and see how that works instead. That's an interesting team, isn't it? It's a really interesting team. The big talking points, of course, is Bowden Barrett. I mean, you could go over that a million times. The old club, first game for the new club. He's going to be a big factor. I mean, it doesn't matter what number he's wearing on the back of his shirt. He's going to be a big, big factor. And I think we talked about this in the build-up to this competition starting a lot, didn't we? How whoever made these fixtures, he was a smart man. He would have sat there and go, what can I really do to get all the people involved in this as much as possible? What can I do to get everyone at the stadium? Obviously, he wasn't probably thinking of that at the time because it seemed unlikely, but watching on TV. This is the ultimate of how to get people watching the game. I'm surprised it wasn't the opener, to be completely honest, but just that factor of one of the best players in the world switching clubs, playing against his old team. It's just a matchup made in competition heaven, isn't it, really? So that's a big factor. And I guess not having his brother on the other team has kind of come up with a factor as well, but I'm sure you get to the Hurricanes in a second. But yeah, the Blues, they could be a lot, but I don't think it's going to be the starting 15 that ultimately decide this matchup. Rieko Ioane at 13, a big, I think we've seen a lot of it, but is this the right call for his career? Is he going to see a black jersey in this jumper? Thinking about long-term for Rieko, he's got to really stand up and perform. But there's a lot you want to see in here. I think the bench for me is massive. And again, we'll talk about the Hurricanes, but Kauli Tuioti is a man for me that I think needs to start. And there's a second rower on the other side of the equation on the bench as well that I think needs to see a lot more game time, because those two guys, I think, have a huge future in the New Zealand rugby. But yeah, agree with the comments. The pack needs to stand up. We need to see more from Hoskins Tututu. I think he's going to be a key man as the season wears on. And that back row, massive. Tom Robinson needs more. It's just the Blues. It's just the Blues, though. We've got to talk about not Beauden Barrett. That's the key thing, because we know what he's going to do. And I think the Canes know what he's going to do as well. So it's everyone else I think needs to stand up to a better level, and they could be a real competition threat.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that back three of Tom Robinson, Blake Gibson, Hoskins Tututu, those Lucy's, it's a real young, pretty inexperienced set there. They're going to come up against some guys who are more experienced than they are, and they're going to have to show some game now. So you're right. I think the idea of Beauden Barrett at 15 is he's still learning some of the game plans, whereas Terry Black has run this team well at the beginning of the season. So hence why he's been given that 10 jersey. The other name that's not here is James Marchant, who I think, again, he's a specialist, really a 13, got pushed out onto the wing because of Rieko Ioane. Being back from the sevens, there's just no room for him. But I think a lot of people have been very impressed with how he played pre-lockdown. So some strength and depth there. But as you say, yeah, interesting choice there about Kauli Tuioti. Let's move on and let's just run through that Hurricanes side then. Fraser Armstrong, Dane Coles, Tyrrell Lomax in the front row. James Blackwell and Scott Scrafton in the engine room. Reed Prinsep, Duplessis, Karifi, Gareth Evans are the Lucy's. TJ Perenara and Jackson Garden Bishop to run things. Lamapi and Arso back in that combination in the centres, with the Ben Lamb, Wes Hewson and Chase Tiatia, your back three. A bench that has a 6-2 split, folks. Amua, Mafileo, Fidao are your front row replacements. Isaiah Walker, Laurie, who's that person you're talking about there on that bench. Vi Fafita and Artie Surveyor, two All Blacks to come off the bench there. Jamie Booth and Billy Proctor. To me, the main risk piece here is going to be around Jackson Garden Bishop. If he goes down, I'm looking around going, there's no playmakers left to step in and run this team. Risky selection. I guess TJ Perenara could step into 10. Maybe he is the backup 10 in this squad.
It's probably most likely, isn't it? I mean, you don't even have an option of if he's playing a really bad game or anything like that. Maybe the Blues could just lend one. They could just switch over Harry Plummer for a Jamie Booth or something for half an hour or something like that. But yeah, I think I talked a little bit about it before. The bench is going to be the massive deciding factor in this game. When you look at that, and you stole my thunder a bit on there, the split on the bench as well. We kind of know what we're going to get from the Hurricanes, which is very un-Hurricanes-like, isn't it? We're going to see, I think, a game where they're going to play a forward-dominating fixture, and they have some absolute talent sitting on that bench ready to go. I mean, the impact you're going to get from, I think, the second row and the back row especially is going to be insane. And you've got that experience already there. I mean, Reed Prinsep played with the Crusaders already before. Duplessis Karifi is one of the great up-and-comers in New Zealand rugby as well. Gareth Evans, a journeyman. He's such a high-talented player that just consistently is good. And then you just go, we might look at our bench now and bring on Vi Fafita and Artie Savia. Why the hell not? And then bang, you've got a big impact coming off there. We talked about the back row of the Blues. They've got to stand up to that. they have to stand up massively. We get to see now what the guys like Dalton Papali'i are really made of when they're coming up against a fresh Fafita or Severe on the other side. Yep, you're right about Wakalera. He's a guy I really want to see in this team more and more, along with Kelly Tuioti. I think we've got some really good up-and-coming locks coming through New Zealand rugby, which is great to see. But, yep, that number 10 jumper, doesn't matter what team you go to, there's a bit of a concern over that number 10 jumper all over the place. But we will see how Garden Bishop goes. And what's going to be more interesting, I think, is how much pressure Perenara takes, because I find he can be a player who, when the team kind of looks at him and goes, I want you to take a bit more of the pressure, off your number 10 or kind of control the game a bit more yourself rather than leave it to your outside man. He kind of gets a little bit big for the game, and it kind of takes over his whole core roles of what he does, and he kind of just does too much almost effectively that you would see from a normal number 9. So that's going to probably affect him. But what's going to affect more is, I think, just their passion to want to get one over Bowden. That's what's really at stake here. Competition points, who cares? They want to beat Bowden up. They just want to not take him out, but they just want to beat them. And that's going to be the real driving force behind so many of these guys that have played with him for so long. And they'll know how he plays as well. So they'll have a few tricks up their sleeve. They'll know how to put pressure on him and what makes him tick and what makes him not tick. So expect to see some clever stuff from the Hurricanes. And I just think if this game's close, near the last 10, 15 minutes, the Blues fans might not be celebrating on the way home.
Yeah, I was kind of confident before this, but then looking at the lineups, I'm starting to become less and less so. And you're talking me out of them as well. The more I hear you talk, oh no, this is going to go really badly for my team. I do have a question mark about Karifi. Look, he is an up-and-comer, but he's a guy who tends to get pinged a lot. And I'm wondering, with the extra vigilance and the extra focus around the breakdown that we've heard that the referees have been asked to do, will he just get blown off the park? And how well will he adapt to this game style? So he's that I'm going to find really kind of one of the interesting things within this game is how does Karifi adapt? Because he is a bit of a penalty machine because he does play right on that edge, trying to snaffle that ball. And it's going to be interesting to see because of the immediate roll away, the immediate release, how that's going to impact his game. So I'm looking forward to see how that one pans out and how he goes from personally. As you say, massive role for Papali'i to play off that bench against that other side. Look, another one that I think is shaping up to be a cracking game. Chase Tiatia from 15 has played really well at Super Rugby. When he got pushed onto the bench, pushed onto the wing, didn't quite look that didn't suit his game style so much. So I'm glad to see him back there in that role. Obviously, it's because of injury to Geordie Barrett, unfortunately. But that's usually I want to see Chase Tiatia in. And I think he is a cracking player who's coming through as well. This one should be and it should be another really good game. As you say, we think of the Hurricanes as a lightweight front five, but actually they could get the nudge on up front here in this one, and if they do, that back line is just deadly. I've gone Blues by 3, but I'm a lot less confident now than I was.
Well, I'll tell you what, I recorded my preview that I'm putting on my channel earlier today, and I was the same to you. We did a video yesterday with some guys from South Africa, and I was pretty confident of the Blues there too, but that was pre-lineups. And I looked at this lineup, and I did my video after the lineups come out, and I looked at that bench, and I thought, oh, if this is close, I mean, that impact of the Saviers and the Fafitas is going to be huge. And now doing this with you here, I look at it more, and I see if Rico doesn't show up in that 13 jumper, you've got such an experienced combination of Laumapi and Aso that are going to run them ragged with combination plays and experience of being together. When you got Faiani and Ioane who haven't, that actually rhymes quite nicely, doesn't it? Who've played not so much together, don't have that kind of link that you'd see from the experience of the other guys. So, I mean, there's so much on this match that if someone really stands up here, it's so evenly matched between each and every position and it just takes a big game from someone that could completely shatter this whole matchup and change the whole dynamic of it completely. So it's an opportunity, isn't it, to stand up, because the whole world around rugby is going to be watching this game and the previous one. And something we failed to mention, I guess, going into this is the crowd as well. You know, the Forsyth Bar is going to be packed. We did sign it at the start, but how impactful that will be on these teams, if they can get in there behind the Blues, that could boost them a little bit more as well. But I'm going to stick with my original pick that I did yesterday, which was the Blues by 4. I'll stick with that because I've already said it about 3 or 4 times now. So I just hope that they can get out fast, get some early points, and I'll put some pressure on the Hurricanes. Hopefully you'll just not have enough to get home at the end. But a final point on the Canes, though. Just want to ask your thoughts on it. It's kind of gone under the radar here, but is Cobus van Wyk the cleverest South African on the planet, or cleverest rugby playing South African on the planet? Because we bagged him at the start of the season for coming over here to New Zealand to play for the Hurricanes. And now look, he's the only South African playing rugby, isn't he? So, I mean, credit to him. He's clever.
He would be if he got selected.
Well, he's he's still in the team. He's training at least. He's in a playing squad. I mean, yeah. I mean, good on him. I mean, who could have predicted this?
Good on him. He's come over here and he's got a hat trick and he's put his hand up and really a lot of people were like, wow, okay, we thought he really was a journeyman. Why do they pick him? And now you understand why they signed him. So yeah, you're right. You're there. And that crowd thing could be a big thing. There's a number of players here who have not played in front of a crowd like this. Okay, your All Blacks have, obviously, but there'll be an awful lot of other players here who haven't played with that big crowd. So there may be a few nerves. There may be a couple of players who do get a bit shell shocked and go out there and go, oh, "What? All these people actually watching us? Wow!" Now, for some, that's going to feed them, and they'll grow an extra foot. For others, they'll go into their shells and just get nervous. So it's going to be interesting again to see how that impacts different players on this one. But yeah, you're right. The crowd could have an influence in there. So there we go. There you go, folks. You are now ready for your weekend's worth of rugby. Ashwin and Stephen Harris are both going to be at Eden Park. So I might get them to do a couple of live videos onto the New Zealand Sport Radio Facebook page. So do keep an eye out for those. Don't forget to like that page. Also, you can listen to all of our content as a podcast as well. Just search for New Zealand Sports Radio on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all that kind of stuff. And Stephen, you mentioned that you are putting out your preview on your channel. Give everyone a quick shout to where that is.
Yep, you can just find me by searching for Cornflake on YouTube is the main thing, or you can head to, if you want a written version and not the talking version, you can head to behindthepost.com and find that there as well, which is already up. The preview video format will be up tonight, but you'll be able to find the matches being played out this weekend as well on Rugby Challenge 3 if you're into that sort of gameplay thing, as well as we've got predictions. And don't forget, Paul hasn't mentioned it, but you could win the yellow cap if you come and join us on Super Brew, which I'm sure Paul's got one going as well. It is all for the yellow cap. So make sure to tune into our
two going.
Super Brew pages.
Got one for my supporters and via Patreon. So you can. So I've got two. Yeah, one for one open to the public and one open to just my supporters via Patreon.com. So Patreon.com/Driving More for that private chat one if you want to. Now, Stephen, the other thing that's been fun is that because we are the only place in the world that is doing that has got rugby, we have been inundated by podcasts in the UK, South Africa, etc., going, "Hey guys, can you come on please and tell us what's going on?" I've done I've done two, one last night, one this morning. It sounds like you've done a couple as well. It's been fun, hasn't it, being the centre of attention?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of fall under the radar, but I guess everyone just kind of follows it all as a whole kind of big thing with SANZAR, doesn't it? With the Australians and the South Africans, everyone's a bit of an expert, but now we're all by ourselves. And that kind of depth thing, when you're talking about Sam Gilberts and guys like that, no one really knows what they're going to offer, even less than us. And we haven't seen those guys much either. So, yeah, your knowledge on things like the Mighty 10 Cup and just the games from beforehand, and the guys that sit on the bench or sit in the stands, and how they play and the effects of stadiums and things like that comes into a bit more of a knowledge pool. So it's cool, it's good, and hopefully we can get a few more fans and a bit more going on with New Zealand rugby will be cool.
Will be fantastic. Don't forget, we'll be back at 8 p.m. on Sunday evening with the roundup of all of the action from the two games. So do join us then on New Zealand Sports Radio. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, everyone, for watching.